I don't think...
I think he's been good. He does a lot of good things on the field, but big distraction. I'm not totally sure like how he is in the locker room. I've heard, different things about him in the locker room, but overall, I don't see the Bears bringing him back. He's been too much of a problem the last couple of years, and he's usually injured too.
Yeah,
and
injuries, man.
His production last year kind of dipped a little bit, but we'll see what happens.
But yeah, Zach Miller had a huge year last year. Such a bright spot.
Yeah.
Really unexpected, so you can go with him moving forward on probably a cheap deal.
There's another guy in here I want to talk about that I want the Bears to bring back.
Who?
Mark Mariani.
Really?
Mark Mariani, yes.
Okay, before you say anything, I need to tell this story. I was at Soldier Field, not with you, Blake, because we did go to a game this year, but I was with my dad. Really nice seats behind the end zone, and we actually sat about 3 rows behind.
Vikings game?
Yes, the Vikings game where they lost on the field goal. I'm having a rough go with going to Chicago sporting events and having to win. But my Cubs record was outstanding this summer, so I'm probably going to try to keep that up.
Yeah.
But we were sitting like 3 rows behind Mariana's family, and it sucked because he like muffed a punt that game. I'm pretty sure, like dropped
2
one.
punts.
2 punts.
2 punts
and
that game.
Everyone was just hounding them. So I don't really like him as a punt return guy. I don't get why everyone's so high on him as like a return specialist because he hasn't shown me anything. But yet again, we are kind of blessed with the fact that we got to watch Devin Hester play for a very long time.
Let's be honest, he had a terrible year as a punt returner. His our special teams in general was awful, and he was one of the main reasons. But I am not looking at him as much as a punt returner, but more of a slot receiver, which I think last year he started to develop into.
Jay was looking for him a bit
more. He was a nice player to have on third downs, in that slot for Jay Cutler. He was pretty reliable too. I mean, he doesn't drop the ball. If it hits him, he's usually going to catch it, and he actually has some yards after the catch ability. Based on he's a punt returner too, so But yeah, I hope they bring him
throughout there. We'll see what happens.
I mean, cheap guy, cheap deal.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. But
we'll see. All right, now we're going to talk draft a little bit. I saw you tweeted out something last night. The Bears have the 11th overall pick, correct?
Yes.
And you tweeted out something about quarterbacks. Obviously, you have the Jared Goffs of the world going towards the top of that draft, I would think.
Yes.
But what are your thoughts?
Well, the QB situation in the draft is always pretty fluid. You never totally know what's going to happen. And there's a couple situations or scenarios that could happen. There's a scenario where there could be QBs going really early, and Bears just don't have a chance to draft one of the top 2 premier ones. And then there's, offensive linemen or D tackles, whoever going early, and those QBs kind of fall back. So, we'll see what happens. The only team, and this is what I was talking about yesterday, was the only team that I see that with a QB need, like one of their top needs, is the Cleveland Browns at number 2.
Poor Browns fans.
And then past that, there's really not another team with a really dire need for a QB until, maybe the Saints at 12 where, Drew Brees is going out. But we'll see. That's a weird situation. I'm not totally sure what the Bears' interest is in bringing in a new quarterback. I'm thinking they do have an interest in bringing in a guy to play behind Jay Cutler, but we'll see as we move.
And we're not hating on Jay here.
No,
I think we all can agree that last season Jay Cutler had a great season. Surprised a lot of people. Of course, Adam Gase is moving on. We'll see what their offense looks like with the new coordinator, but I think it'll be the same. Just got to keep Jay comfortable, keep him mobile, keep him moving, and his arm will do the rest. It's just putting him in the right system. I think if we saw last year, if he's in the right system, he does well. If he has someone he can relate to and work with. We'll
see with Jay. They played super conservative this season. And at times I think that can actually hurt Jay. You know, when he throws picks, sometimes the Bears are even better because then he's making those down the field really great throws that you see from Jay. So we'll see how they play it this year. You know, new offensive coordinator. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to this Bears season. We'll probably I'll head down to Bourbonnais. I try to go at least once a year.
Yeah.
It's a good atmosphere down there, even though that.
And we have the draft again, too.
And the draft.
We have the draft again here in Chicago.
Yeah. So, all right. Moving on here. We're going to talk about the Bulls here. And I just have to preface this by saying that last night was extremely difficult for old Drew Bear here. Just watching that game, it seemed like the Bulls were going in slow motion. They are currently on a 7-game road trip. They played the Clippers on Sunday, and they played the Jazz last night. Lost both. The Clipper game, they got blown out of the water. Hung around in the first half, and the second half, just
I watched
they were game. Not. You watched a Bulls game?
I watched the Bulls game.
Guys, Blake watched a Bulls game. Here's to you, Blake. We're clapping for you.
I'm clapping myself.
So, yes. This Bulls team. That Clippers game was very ugly. They could not stop J.J. Redick, who seems like... All right, J.J. Redick, I would not tab him to be the one with a full sleeve of tattoos on his arm. But when the heck did that happen? I saw him in the game on Sunday.
Wait,
he has a full tattoo sleeve.
J.J. Redick.
J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick.
We're seeing the transition into...
Lob City J.J. Redick.
No, he's about to be the next Birdman.
You heard it here.
You heard it here first.
Next Birdman, J.J. Redick. So the Bulls now have lost 9 of 13. They have dropped into a tie for 5th place in the East, and they're only 3.5 games up on 10th place Charlotte. This is not good.
That is not.
They play the Kings on Wednesday. I'm not sure if Boogie Cousins is going to be playing in that game. If Boogie Cousins is playing in that game, I don't know how the Bulls are going to show up. Because last night, from what I heard, that Bulls locker room was an absolute mess.
I'm sure it was.
Jimmy Butler playing through these nagging injuries again and again. Apparently he has a bet with his trainer to play all 82 games, which, I'm sorry, Jimmy, that's stupid.
Why is a trainer betting Jimmy Butler that?
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for
Jimmy
Jimmy Butler.
That just is like the perfect thing to describe the Bears, the Bulls medical staff. We're talking.
I know
about
you're
Bulls.
a new fan, so we're gonna give you time. But yeah, I don't think it's the Bulls staff. I think it's like Jimmy Butler's
personal trainer.
It's like their buddies. Like they hang out with Mark Wahlberg in L.A.
Oh, okay.
You know those guys.
Yeah,
they're Mark Wahlberg. Shout out to you. So
Mark
yeah.
Wahlberg.
Something funny that I came across yesterday.
Yeah.
As some of you guys know who are listening, Bulls Nation is obsessed with Mike Dunleavy.
Really?
Yes.
Mike Dunleavy.
Mike Dunleavy.
Okay.
Old man Mike Dunleavy.
Old man Mike.
Starting small forward for the Chicago Bulls. And I think that is only because of everyone's hate for Tony Snell and Doug McDermott and Nico Mirotic at the moment, because they're getting no stable play out of that small forward position. So everyone's like, when Dunleavy comes back, everything's going to be okay, and everything's going to be great, and you're going to space the floor, and Dunleavy's going to shoot 60% from 3, and the Bulls are never going to lose again. Here's a memo to you people. Dunleavy's probably going to come back this week, and we might see the same team. I don't want to scare you, but we might see the same team.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. No one really knows what it is. But for the Bulls, I'm going into games now not knowing what's going to happen. We can never say for sure that they're going to win a game or lose a game. Mm-hmm. Dunleavy, currently chilling out in Santa Cruz Warriors, the D-League. You know who's on that team?
Who?
With Mike Dunleavy is Ronnie Brewer.
Wow, really?
I saw that, and I was like, that's kind of cool.
He's still kicking around in the D.
Yeah, he's still... Good. Ronnie Brewer is still alive.
That's good.
He's hanging out, former Arkansas Razorback. And Aaron Kraft is also on that team, scrappy guard of Ohio State. So I think Dunleavy is just practicing with them. I don't think he's going to get in any game action, which I was kind of bummed because I wanted to kind of watch a D-League game. I'll say it. And
that's it's a little odd, but
continue. It was a lot. But I'm excited for him to be back. But Bulls fans, don't take this too seriously. We know what this team has.
Yeah.
They have Derrick Rose, they have Jimmy Butler, they have Pau Gasol, and then who else do they have? What are other guys doing? Not a whole lot, besides Taj. But Taj dropped the ball last night off of a rebound, off a free throw that he should have corralled. If he would have corralled that, Bulls probably would have won the game last night. He didn't. So we just never know with this team. And it's...
No, I got to ask you something.
Yeah.
During this 9 of 13, whatever you want to call it, is this just a phase, or do you think this is who this team is at this moment?
Over the past 3 years, they haven't shown us otherwise.
Yeah.
We've been having this same conversation for the past couple of years. I wrote about it on Chicago Now, if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah.
Last night I wrote about how I'm tired of excuses. I'm really tired of excuses, and eventually this team has to look themselves in the mirror and look at that ugly reflection and say, okay, maybe we need some changes here. Maybe Tony Snell isn't going to get it done playing 20 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Maybe Doug McDermott does really suck at defense. Maybe Pau does need to come off the bench because he's old and he doesn't know how to guard pick and roll. It's stuff like that that's so frustrating. We never know with this team. So to answer your question, you know what? Like, come to me in June if the Bulls are still playing and if they've won the title, then I'll answer that question for you. We'll find out if it's a phase. Only time will tell. Yeah. And I'm excited for you as now a new Bulls fan to jump on this bandwagon of sadness and just ride with us.
I've been on this bandwagon. I've been on the bandwagon. I jumped off of it. I got back on again, and now I'm somewhere like being dragged behind the bandwagon on with a rope. I don't know what's going on.
Well, that's a little graphic. I think you're just kind of like hanging out on like the side of the bandwagon. Like you're not being very vocal. You're not being like, I'm Blake, I'm on the bandwagon. Like you're just hanging out.
Let me see this. I've watched some games this year.
You did.
I've given it my best shot at times.
It sounds like you have to read more of my stuff.
I need to read more of your stuff. And I have fun watching Jimmy Butler. I have fun watching Pau Gasol. I like Derek too. I like the team. I think they're enjoyable when they're playing well. But
Fred Hoiberg said it, man.
Right now, it's just
Hoiberg said it. They're really, really good when they're winning, and they're really, really bad when they're losing. That's kind of a weird quote, but it's true.
And I've heard some NBA guys that are pretty knowledgeable on the subject. Even during the good times of this season, when Jimmy had that 50-point game and they were on a 5-game winning streak.
But that 50-point game was against 76ers, people. So it was
well, whatever, but still 50 points. People would still, in the midst of a 5-game winning streak, they're still saying, this team is not anything right now.
They have no identity. And losing Joakim Noah does not help that cause.
Yeah.
But enough about the Bulls. We will talk Bulls more later when the season kind of moves along. We have a better idea of who the heck this team is.
We'll see if that actually comes to fruition, but we'll talk about it.
We'll see. So now...
It's like Bossa Nova?
Yes, this is the classic hotel lobby song.
I love hotel lobbies.
Let's talk some Blackhawks here. Coming into the second half of the season after a really fun All-Star game.
Yes. Believe it or not, I wanted to talk about the All-Star game.
Yeah, it's in there. We'll get there.
It's in there. Okay.
So, second half of the season.
Yeah.
Starting off tonight in good old Colorado. Yeah, Taves not playing tonight. Suspended for one game, which I think is ridiculous. I have some stronger language written on the sheet, but I will spare you from that.
Safe.
Yeah, not safe
for work.
Yeah,
NSFW.
Sure. So, yeah, Taves is suspended one game after not participating in this weekend's All-Star game.